who pay lip service to him. He does not have people he controls that tell him exactly what he wants to hear. So that he got an almost uniform representation of America into power, so that they would correct him and advise him appropriately on what is right. Anyway, I have two questions to Dr. Ekuru Aukot. By the way, I'm a big fan, and I actually remember almost breaking into tears when Akina Raila Odinga and Uhuru trashed a noble bill, the Punguza Mizigo, just because they wanted to push a BBI bill. I mean, it was all political. I wish we had that bill sail through. There's one thing Kenyans don't seem to see and are not voicing it out there, that the problem we have now can be solved through parliament, and that we have a compromised parliament. And if these opposition MPs, Akina Babu Owino, and the rest of MPs and the senators, Akina Sifuna, Akina Kajwang, are for Kenyans, why is it that they have taken so much time to push for removal of the president on grounds of incapacitation or through a motion of impeachment? Why have they taken so long? Does it confirm to us that they are remote controlled by Raila Odinga and that it has to be his will over the Kenyans' will? I mean, I found it funny that now that Kenyans are pushing for the unseating of Ruto, the opposition leader, well, let me call him the former opposition leader, who is also the former prime minister, is uncomfortable with that. I mean, which opponent would be uncomfortable with the unseating of their political nemesis? It doesn't make sense that Raila Odinga is comfortable with Ruto holding power unless he is dining from the table of government. There must be positions, there must be tenders, there must be monies allocated to him that have appeased and conciliated him to the point that he doesn't want Ruto out of power. I mean, if we go by the current situation, all Gen Zs are not qualified by law, by matters of age, in regards to age, to run for president. And if we were to have a better president in this country, probably by now Kenyans are looking into the vocal Gen Zs. So it goes without saying that Raila Odinga would have a higher stake of being elected today if he continued applying pressure on government. And if Ruto goes today, we may front Okiya Omtata, we may front Dr. Ekuru Aukot, with all respect, but we understand that Raila controls a good following. And I would not want him to be president now after I've realized that he's a traitor and a conman. But then he stands to gain if Ruto goes today. But then he does not want Ruto gone. Because of what? What is he eating from this government? He has sold us. And I'm appealing to all Kenyans to unsubscribe from the Raila shadow. That guy is a sellout. He has time without number failed us. We need to move on from him. I mean, we've moved on from excess before. We can move on from Raila Odinga. So my question is, can we influence, is it possible to influence a law that calls for, that, puts it out there that cabinet secretaries should not be politicians or politically affiliated?
James, Ukiland. Hey, my co-host, why are we letting someone talk for 10 hours? But continue, Ukiland.
So my first question is, can we have a law? Is there a way to push for a law that requires or points out that cabinet secretaries cannot be political candidates or politically affiliated? Secondly, is the parliament's majority challengeable? Because we remember that the opposition had more MPs than the Kenya Kwanza government, but the government bought the independent MPs and some of the opposition MPs. Is that constitutional? Can we challenge that? Because if we were to challenge the majority, the majority numbers that UDA and Kenya Kwanza claims to have, we can win back parliament. And it is through parliament that we can remove the president on Article 144 and Article 145. I think I would yield the floor to other speakers.
Thank you. You've taken the mic for 15 minutes, my guy.
Thank you.
3 minutes.
Let me handle it. I want the doctor to experience what a forum like this is. So, doctor, I hope you are jotting down the questions as we move quickly, as we iterate through the speakers. Kowino Nishike,
Yes,
time, your 2 minutes.
I'm noting. I'm noting the questions.
Kowino Nishike, timeline, yeah, 2 minutes. Guys, 2 minutes for all speakers. We have over 100 requests. So I'm going to iterate quickly through the speaker panel. So we can hear everyone air their opinions and their views. So, Masharia, mic is yours. Twende kazi.
Yeah, so thank you Afro. Yeah, so nataka kukubaliana na kila kitu the former speakers amesema, but only one thing nataka kukataa. So there's nothing good about the mornings, the afternoons, the evenings, as long as you are Kenyan, because your systems are run by hypocrites and mediocre people, you know. So there's nothing good about being in, you know, associated with mediocre and hypocritical systems. Yeah, so one thing I want to remind everyone is, you know, as we are continuing with the fight, there's something about our leaders. There's no true African leader, because if you look at the leaders we have these days, they are all controlled by some Western power. You know, I want you guys to check. There's no leader who has come out to support the three, you know, West African countries that are now, you know, revolting against their colonizers. You know, the likes of Burkina Faso, Mali. You know, Akina Captain Ibrahim Traore. No true African leaders have come out to support. You know, so yeah, we need to, as we are going on with, you know, with our movement, we have to remember there is no foreigner who is our friend. We should not allow any foreigner to call themselves a friend of Kenya as of now, because they have not been standing with us during our tough times, you know, during fighting the US. You know, our president is recognizing their attempted assassination of Trump, who has not even recognized Kenya is having, you know, is having tough political times. So I don't get why we always seek recognition from our, you know, from our oppressors. You know, it's kind of cliche, you know, cliche. So that should end. So yeah, the second thing I wanted to say is we wanted to solve that thing of, you know, accountability for our leaders, where our leaders. Let me finish on this. Our leaders, they are not accountable. So there's this thing that is being pushed. It's called Mkura. It's like a digital baraza where every citizen can, you know, can make a vote on the projects they want to be undertaken in their wards, you know, constituencies, their counties. So yeah, it's like always involving the mwananchi in every decision, because power belongs to the people and should always belong to the people, because the people are the government. Yeah, so as I finish, civic education is the most important thing, because everything you learn today is not what you learn tomorrow. Tomorrow is a new experience. So as you get new information, try to pass that on new information you're getting, which is factual information that is real, that is you know, accredited for. Try to pass on information to those who cannot get that information as you are getting it in the simplest way. Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you so much. Otumba, are you there? Guys, hashtag is Ruto must go. Please retweet the space, retweet the pinned tweet on the Jumbotron. That is the location where we'll all be meeting on Tuesday. Different roads occupy: Jogo Road, Thika Road, Mombasa Road, Ngong Road. All the locations are there. The points will be choking. Higher. Otumba, are you there?
Yeah, thanks. I hope I'm audible enough. So, I've been analyzing what the decisions the president have been making, and I only come up with two conclusions. It's either the president is very sick in the head, or the president really doesn't care what the majority of Kenyans want. A casing point will be the appointment he made yesterday. He was saying that he made the appointment after doing a consultation, but if indeed if he did, he consulted the public records, you will see that the appointment of Chirchir was really unnecessary, because Chirchir is the real definition of incompetence. Tifa TIFA survey July last year highlighted Churchill as one of the worst performing CS. Within Churchill's appointment, we have more than enough nationwide power outages. We've had the most embarrassing petroleum scandal under his watch, and still is being reappointed into now a different capacity. If you check on the education docket, the person he appointed yesterday has been a lawyer throughout his entire life. And currently is also the chair of Kenyan, I believe. So if this guy is really competent enough and must really hold a CS docket, why can't he be given? Why couldn't he be given Attorney General then? Because he has been a lawyer his entire life, or the docket of energy, because currently is the chair of Kenyan. So why must he be given a docket? He has no idea what is happening in education. So and I think this shows clearly that our president is serving the interests of his fellow criminals, but not the interests of Kenyans. I think that you Kenyans be damned. So and also I think Ruto dismissed the CSS, but he knew very well those who will be back regardless of your demands. Because if you remember, immediately he dismissed the cabinet. There's a group of people who started retweeting, kind of demanding and sending the same message request that Duale and Kindiki be reappointed. I believe these people were
Wind up.
sent by the government to come and do that kind of request. And then, okay, my last point, just to wind up, I've seen so many people trying to ask the Gen Z to come up with leaders, because they're saying being leaderless doesn't help. But of course, we'll need to have leaders, but I don't think it's the right time for us to have leaders. We don't need to have a leader to sit down with Ruto for him to for him to fight corruption within his government, and for him to find justice for those extrajudicial killings. So I really think there's still a lot that needs to be done before we sit down with Ruto to have a conversation with him. And lastly, even as we try to figure out our next move and the best strategy to take, I think we also need to change our strategies. I believe I don't know whether it's possible, but
Boss,
I
land.
believe
Wind up, bwana.
Time imeisha.
yeah, I believe filling JKIA will be a very good move for us, because we have several international flights coming into JKIA, and if we fill out that place so that no international flight can come in or out of JKIA, then this can be an international embarrassment to our country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Otumba. Guys, let's respect the time. 2 minutes. When the alarm goes off, please begin winding up. Don't add 2 more points. Guys, we have a hot speaker list. I need to iterate through it. James Muryuki, mic is yours. Karibu.
Thanks. Am I audible?
Very, go ahead.
Yeah. So mine is a concern and like an idea that I want to float to everyone. Well, we are making a lot of reference to revolutions that have ever happened, but what I'm not seeing us do is think, how can ours be better and more efficient? I have noticed from even the first demo when we were breaching parliament that it would have taken a way shorter time if we were more coordinated. So I've been assuming Kenya is very disorganized and should be running like a proper company. And I think the organization, the movement also would achieve more that way. For example, the first time there were so many people on the street because the civic education was unidirectional. Every single platform, every single space, every single person was talking about one thing. That is what we've lost so far. So I am this is my challenge, is my sort of suggestion, especially to the hosts of this space. Why, if all you guys want the best for Kenya, why can't all the hosts have one sitting? This is not for the purposes of leadership, but it's for the purposes of coordination. So that all of you guys who are hosting spaces, all of you, iwe ni nani ama ni nani ama ni nani, all of you get on one space first. And then on this one space, we come up with a coordinated approach. We can even achieve so much. We are limiting ourselves. We can have a unified account even where people can mchanga, and we can invest in various ways of making sure the movement progresses. We can have medical camps going all around the country, which we will fund, which we will have employed the doctors right now who are very jobless. Like, we can do so many things because we are fighting a system. And this system is fighting back as hard as it can. So if we're not more organized and coordinated, trust you me, this will be difficult, it will take time, and we might not achieve what we want.
Thank you, James. Thank you, James. Powerful point. Yeah,
Afro.
I agree with you totally. Yes.
No, it's okay. Just go ahead. I wanted to tackle his questions, but it's okay. You can go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with him in terms of having one space. Definitely, but Twitter Spaces, hey, they've been here, and KOT or KOX is one of the most lethal cyber jungles respected worldwide. So, in fact, one thing Ruto has done, he has united Kenyans on the internet. So
true, but
some people, some influencers, maturity, some people are not yet putting it down, understanding that this is bigger than their petty beefs. For one, me and 6,000, we were very arch enemies. But when Ruto must go, tukako marafiki, quick, fast. So yes, I see your vision that we need a one big space and we need to reach out to each other. But that thing of reaching out to each other is very difficult. But we are working towards going there. Right now, we are just working towards it. But powerful point. Hey, Weston, go ahead. Are you had something to say?
No, it's
Thanks.
okay.
Thank you,
You've addressed it.
Afrocentric. Thank you so much. A salute, fellow compatriots and everyone else who is listening in this forum. As usual, I pay tribute to our fallen compatriots, comrades, and soldiers. Quick, when I spoke last year, I posed questions and I asked whether we are deploying the minimalist approach or we're going the revolution way. Because I see a lot of distractions. At every other turn that the political elite makes a decision, behaves the way they have all along behaved, we get worked up. For instance, the first batch of cabinet ministers, what did we expect? What did we expect? This is power just consolidating, power fighting back. And as Michel Foucault says, power always elicits, evokes resistance because it tends to work to the detriment of those who are governed. He calls them subjects. So we will have to choose whether we want a minimalist approach where we think we can patch up this state called Kenya and move on. And that will mean we deploy the law, we invoke the constitution, we go to the courts and challenge the decisions that these people are making. Or we are convinced that this state is irredeemably rotten. It is being presided over by people who are incorrigibly ill-mannered, ill-disciplined, who have no aspirations of Kenyans at heart. And therefore, there is need urgent for total overhaul of the state as it is. We have to make a choice. So, Dr. Alcott, glad that you made some interventions. I take you back to your Punguza Mizigo initiative. How far did it go? Because you are invoking the constitution, the provisions of the law on what to do to challenge the excesses of the political elite. Well, your initiative, popular as it was, populated by aspirations of the majority of Kenyans as it was trumped by the BBI thing, led by the political elite. Flawed as it was, oppressive as potentially it was, and they fought for its enactment all the way to the Supreme Court. So when you say we can have a popular initiative, you know, we bypass parliament, we go through county assemblies and stuff like that, I'm not so sure. The powers that be will be waiting in the corridors of power, will be waiting in the corridors of the judiciary. They will, and they will definitely knock it out. They'll fight back viciously because definitely we will play into their hands. So we can remember CORD. They had some signatures. Yes, when they presented these signatures to the IEBC, you remember IEBC raising questions about the validity of some of those signatures. I don't know, some of them look like animals and stuff like that. Well, what is a prototype signature? If I draw an animal, I mean, I'm the one who drew it, that's my signature. Is there something like a prototype signature? But the IEBC knew what it was doing. It was pandering to the political elite, to the powers that be, which why our fixation on the reconstitution of the IEBC comes to me as a little bit strange. Because IEBC is an extension of the state, frankly speaking. It's an extension of the state. And where we are more than ever, William Ruto is invested in who is going to be party to the IEBC. More than ever, he is. Because history shows that if you want to prevail in power in Kenya, just have a handle on who is elected as the chair of the IEBC, who are the commission of the IEBC. So I'm afraid that approach will be a cul-de-sac. It will be a cul-de-sac going forward. In fact, it will be a contested terrain, just as it has been in the past. Where is the option? Our option is the protest we are having. And those protests are within the ambit of the law. It's not like anarchy, it's not like chaos, it's not like social anomie. The protests that we have been engaging in to date within the law, that is it. Because the protests in and of themselves indicate one thing, that the legal approach, resort to the rule of law, evocation of the constitution, until now, those approaches are not working for the simple reason that the political elite is rogue. Is rogue. Which why it doesn't really matter who is appointed the Attorney General. That office is not really integral in the way the president conducts his business. For those who care to listen, to read, will understand that for 24 years, Moi never had a co-ethnic as the Attorney General. There was no Kalenjin Attorney General for 24 years that Moi was at the helm. Why? Because he knew he could have his way without necessarily having his co-ethnic, holding that very so-called influential position. Amos Wako was there, a very accomplished jurist. But what did he do? You remember the Wako draft. You remember the Wako draft and where it took us to. So Rebecca Miano, whoever it is, you cannot appoint anybody as the Attorney General. History shows that really, that office, really, whoever occupies it usually does the bidding of the executive, of the president. You remember very well also the CJ position. None of the sitting Supreme Court judges applied to succeed Maraga. Did we notice that anomaly? In which country? In which country? Would there be shortlisted candidates to succeed an outgoing Chief Justice and none of the Supreme Court sitting judges is interested in the position? Why? Why was that? I mean, that was anomalous, really. What did it mean? It meant that the political elite had rigged the process. They had rigged the process. They were interested in capturing the judiciary. So let us not forget history, which has got very painful lessons for us, where we think if you have a professor of medicine in the Ministry of Health, or you have got a professor in the Ministry of Education, suddenly the problems in the education sector in Kenya will evaporate. They will not. We have had them in the past. Suddenly the problems in the Ministry of Health? There will not, because these people are working within an establishment that is not pro-people, that is not for transformation, that is not for meeting the popular aspirations of the people of Kenya. So the papers there don't really count. They don't count. Moi used to have very accomplished people. They would just do his bidding. They were just as sycophantic as those people who didn't have papers. Why is Professor Kithure Kindiki behaving the way he's doing? And he's a professor of law. Why? Why is he behaving the way he's doing? Is there an explanation? Yes, there is. There is always method to this madness. And what is the method? Once you are co-opted into that system, then you let go of your brain. You let go of your independence of mind. You just do what you are supposed to do. So that is the system that we are ranged against. We're not ranged against personalities like William Ruto, who is appointed to the cabinet, who becomes part of the IEBC and whatever. No, we are not. We're ranged against an intractable system that has been there for decades, that is buttressed locally and as well as internationally, that is oppressive, vicious towards the people of Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow compatriots, and it's a mammoth task. It's not easy. So we can go the minimalist way. We tried before, but the status quo will remain. The extant political, social, economic architecture edifice will remain in place. When the police say, no, you can't have a protest, what law are they invoking? And then when you go to the courts, there's a judge who says, well, we have lifted a ban. Which ban did you lift? Whereas Kenyans have got this inalienable right to demonstrate, to protest, to express their grievances on the streets. When the judge says the police should not use lethal force, what a bizarre judgment. The police are not supposed to kill protesters in the first place. So the courts should be waiting for these police officers who are engaged in extrajudicial and summary executions and just prosecute them. There's no need for a judgment to the effect that the police should not use lethal force. No, they shouldn't, because there's no provision in the law that allows them to. And those who do are breaching the law and must be held to account. So I think we need clarity of thought, and I'm glad we're getting there slowly. Focus. What is the ball? What is the main target? What is the problem? I think we're getting there, but we should not allow the political elite to distract us. Raila Odinga, William Ruto, those people have behaved like that for decades. They are not going to change today. They will not change tomorrow. And if we care about the Kenya of tomorrow and generation to come, then these people really have seen better days. These people are part of history. As somebody puts it, they're yesterday's men and women. And that's why we want to build Kenya, reconstitute Kenya that has no room for those kind of behaviors. Very backward, very anti-people, very anti-life, poverty-inducing kind of behavior by the political elite. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Weston. Thank you, Weston. Doctor, you want to answer something? Go through, or you still want to listen? We go ahead with listening to speakers. Dr. Aukot. I think you can't hear me. Mogo, go ahead. Mic is yours.